We're going to talk about next year's conference, another beautiful city. And before I introduce this individual, I want to talk about the theme of the conference. I also want to clarify some confusion. There are a lot of, especially from the industry, there are lots of questions about what is the taxi network and what they're doing. There's some trepidation and misunderstandings. You know, they have a partnership with the ITR, and we're academics. And we had Dr. Mundy, Wim Faber, Dr. Cooper, and I. We actually had dinner last night, and we discussed the future. And we're proud and pleased to announce not only will the taxi network have its own legislative agenda, but we will also be doing a study on exploring why the independent contractor model is not good for the industry, and that drivers should become employees. Obviously, I'm just kidding. Everybody okay back there at that table? Just kidding. Just kidding. I already have a couple of contracts on my life. Anyway, but you know, seriously, you know, the taxi network and the ITR have a relationship where they're going to be bringing the academic studies to our library. You know, the ITR's studies are very nuts and bolts. How do you regulate? What are the surveys? What are the people doing? And what are the ideas and solutions? You know, there are a lot of scholarly articles written, and the goal is to have a journal, a taxi journal, the first of its kind. You know, so it's really an academic pursuit. But you know, we want to also work with the industry groups. They have done a great job, including TLPA, of cataloging all sorts of studies and information. And the goal is to work with them and you know and to get more universities involved. You know, we have the University Transportation Research Center from the City University of New York. Dr. Comga's here. You know, we're all going to join this network. It's a loose affiliation of sharing information. It's better for us to share information than to withhold it from one another and to work together. So just to clarify, that's what it's all about. It was funny, as we were breaking up for dinner, one of the members of the TLPA said, I know Dr. Mundy, I know Wim Faber, I don't know Dr. Cooper, and pointed at me and said, I'm scared of you. Well, I've heard that for many, many years. And it follows you, or trouble follows me. But I want to talk a little bit about our next conference, because you know, Norma basically was so concerned all year that we weren't going to top New York City, and I believe we certainly have. And I think both her and I agree that we want to top both of these last two conferences and do an even better job in Toronto. That's what it's all about. It's a beautiful city, and I want to talk about the theme. I'm going to turn it over to Richard Mucha, who's going to talk about the beautiful city and what it has in store for us next year. The board of directors has decided that our theme for the conference in Toronto is going to be training and hospitality. What we've tried to do over the last few years is focus on the accomplishments and focus of the cities that we're going to. For Norma, it's safety, sustainable streets, and accessibility. It's been a defining issue. She's done a tremendous job in that, unequaled among regulators. And in New York City, obviously technology is where it all started, and it's being replicated around the world, so that was our focus the year before. In Toronto, for those of you who haven't been following it, they have an incredible program called the Ambassador Program, and they actually sell their training curriculum and actually conduct training for other regulators and for folks. And they serve as a model for training taxi drivers, but our theme is going to be even broader than that. It's going to include possibly training enforcement officers. That could probably be a closed session. Training enforcement officers, or the link also between hospitality and tourism and training. I think it's important that a good trained driver who knows the city, knows how they got around, has good customer service, is obviously beneficial to tourism and hospitality. And if you haven't noticed, over the last decade, people in the tourism industry have finally recognized that taxis are the first and last face that you see at an airport, visitors to a city. And, you know, these folks now realize that if they want to be serious in bidding on Super Bowls and conventions and so forth, that they need to clean up their taxi industries, make them better. And training is a very, very big part of that. So that's where the link is. So we're hoping, we have Jim Peters from the Responsible Hospitality Institute. We're hoping to work with the Convention and Visitors Bureaus that have supported us, and I know supported Norma with this conference as well, to get them involved. Because, you know what, they have a very distinct opinion on what we should be doing, and we should listen to them because they are really the supporters of the industry. They bring tourists to the cities, and these are the passengers that provide business for the industry that we regulate. So I think it's going to be very exciting. The topics are in development, you know, so the Education Committee will hit the ground running as soon as the conference is over and start planning the details. But I want to thank Richard and Jim from Toronto. Richard was on the board many years ago, and he's back. Glenn Steves, who was a longtime member, couldn't make it here today. He's been on the board for many, many years. He just retired. I believe he's riding his motorcycle around the country. He's a big biker. Okay. So anyway, without further ado, Richard's going to talk a little bit about the city of Toronto and what's in store for us in 2011. Richard?
Thank you very much, Matt. And good morning, everybody. I trust we all had a great night. There was some fabulous food. It was great at Hugo's there. I'm Richard Mucha. I'm manager of licensing services in the city of Toronto, and we are very excited to be next year's host. And Chicago is a sister city of Toronto, so it is fitting that I think we're going to have a shuttle series. So we're just going to go from one lake to the next. But as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we have a promotional video that I'd like you to see right now, about 8 minutes, and I think it will highlight our fair city and Canada's largest city.
Toronto, a diverse city of 2.6 million people, and the heart of the region's 5.5 million is focused on opportunity, livability, and prosperity for all. Toronto is North America's 5th largest city and stands as a thriving gateway to its most lucrative markets. Toronto is prosperous. Toronto is the economic and cultural hub of Canada. With a wide range of research and development, training and world-class educational opportunities, Toronto is continuing its ascent on the global economic stage. Innovation, collaboration, and stable research funding have resulted in groundbreaking biomedical achievements recognized worldwide. The ICT cluster is the 3rd largest in North America, behind only New York and San Francisco. Toronto is recognized as a growing hotbed of design in the fields of architecture, fashion, graphics, and industry, redefining these aesthetics for the world. Toronto is resilient. Toronto is ranked 4th in the world as a place to experience culture, following London, Paris, and New York. Vibrant, elegant, and edgy, controversial, intimate, and magnificent. In recent years, over $1 billion has been spent on building and upgrading Toronto's cultural facilities. In the past year alone, 3 magnificent new venues have opened their doors to the public. From professional sporting events to theater, dance, and opera, as well as public attractions, concerts, and international cuisine, Toronto has it all, in abundance. Whatever you prefer, Toronto delivers, with the critical mass to support your interests, your lifestyle, your family. Toronto is dynamic. Centered in one of the fastest growing economic regions in North America, Toronto is unstoppable. With recently enhanced incentives, business costs in Toronto are among the lowest of the world's major industrialized cities, due in large part to its most treasured assets: universal health care and a highly educated, multilingual workforce. Toronto is the primary economic engine of the province of Ontario and of Canada. The Toronto region accounts for over 19% of Canada's total GDP. As a percentage of the national GDP, that's more than what New York, Boston, Chicago, Miami, and San Francisco combined contribute to the U.S. economy. Toronto is home to the 3rd largest financial services cluster in North America, behind only New York and Chicago. A recently released Global Competitiveness report announced that Canada has the most sound banking system in the world. Toronto is competitive. Toronto is a collage of culturally unique neighborhoods and one of the most multicultural cities in the world, where more than 100 languages and dialects are spoken. Each year, over 100,000 people from around the world proudly call Toronto their new home. Residents benefit from universal health care, world-class hospitals, the highest quality of education, and a fully integrated, reliable transit system. Diversity of race, beliefs, and lifestyle help define Toronto and set it apart from many cities around the world. Toronto encourages you to celebrate your beliefs, your uniqueness, your life. Toronto is a world of opportunity. Come grow with us.
Thank you, everybody.